Well, hey friends, welcome back to the cabin. Jennifer's actually on her way up here. We're going to work on that hog pen some more. But I asked her to stop and pick me up a couple bottles of Tums, which basically, is calcium, to put on these tomato plants. I'm going to try some Miracle Grow on them too. They're actually all hanging full of tomatoes. It's just that the plants don't really look healthy to me. So I'm assuming that the calcium may be a little bit deficient. So with the Tums, I can actually put those down in like a bucket of water, let them dissolve, and then I'm going to pour that on here. But I'm also going to use some Miracle Grow. The bottom leaves are turning yellow, kind of like they did last year when I had them down on this bottom side, which is kind of indicative of blossom end rot. And I don't know why, because the plants actually started out really healthy. They were all green, and then they get up so big and then the bottoms start turning. So I did call her and asked her on her way out here if she would actually bring me some of those Tums, and hopefully, because this is what I'm getting right here. It's primarily on the bottom stems, but we don't want it to work its way up the plant. So hopefully, I think that's what it is. It's probably they're deficient on some calcium. So when she gets here, I will start dissolving some of those tablets, and this afternoon I will pour them on the plants, and we could go ahead and put some Miracle Grow on them when she gets here. But everything else is looking good. The cucumbers are producing well. The cabbage, I think, may be making a comeback from when I had left and went out of state, and then I got back and there was just a bunch of holes eating in the leaves. But I sprayed them off really good in the evenings. The heads trying to wash off, any eggs or any worms that may be on there, and it appears like that they're making a comeback. So I'm excited about that. I have actually got some some cabbage heads down here. I'll take you and show you this, just about ready to pick. This one right here is just about ready. That's a pretty good size. And this one's actually coming on too. This one's not quite ready yet, neither is this one. But now this is a different variety than the one beside it. See, this one is a lot greener than this one. This one is kind of a bluish green, so this is a different variety right here. But like I said, I think that these are making a comeback from having all of those holes eaten in there, especially when I wash it off really good. So these right here, I may go ahead and harvest these towards the end of the week and get those out of the way. We may make us some sauerkraut and weenies one night. But yeah, these are actually looking really good. This is the broccoli coming up. The broccoli is doing very well, so it won't be long and we'll have some broccoli. Onions are doing pretty good. You can actually see I've got some pretty good size heads right there. Well, it's not going to be long and the beans are going to be putting on, because all of these vines are full of blooms, and I can actually see what appears like maybe some little beans already forming. So the beans, they will be putting out pretty soon. The lettuce, we just keep getting lettuce and it just keeps growing, so that was really nice to have. And then the peppers down here, let me show you some of the peppers. So yeah, we got lots of banana peppers. I got the bell peppers that are coming on. Now these are the red and the yellow, because I don't really like the taste of the green ones. But we got plenty of peppers coming on. I've got habaneros, I got cayenne peppers, already just plants just hanging full, so we're going to have to be picking those and doing something with those. But the garden has really come on. The potatoes, they've done well also, but like I said, next year probably more than likely what I will do is I will either make the raised bed higher and just do it flat. That way I can form hills for the potatoes. Or I will try the sack method instead of the buckets. I'll try the feed sacks because I've been saving those, and I may just kind of set them around the perimeter. That way I can still water those, and then when the potato vines die and it's time to harvest, you just dump them out and there they are. So yeah, but I mean the bed itself is actually doing really well, and I'm excited to find out when this stuff starts to deteriorate that I built these beds with, how much more that's going to change the soil and enrich it to be able to grow, you know, different things. I may try putting the tomatoes down here next year and see how they do as opposed to those raised beds up there. But I think also I'm going to buy some potting soil and kind of mix in with this, because I'm not really sure if it was this dirt that I had dug out of the woods. Like I say, they start off really well, nice, full and green, but then along the way they start developing that those yellow leaves, and it just works its way up the plant. So not quite sure what all that's about. If you have any ideas, please leave me some comments, because you know the tomatoes, they can actually produce for a while if they don't start dying off. So yeah, we may try tomatoes down here next year, and since the onions and the cabbage and the cucumbers are doing well up there, we may just plant more. So hopefully I can have twice as much space next year as I've got this year. Each year I've been able to add a little bit to that. So I've still got room for another bed up here, but I'll try to find another spot that I can develop into a garden area that has that south-facing sun, which we may clear some more property on the other side of the driveway here in order to do that. But I'm really excited about these hugelkultur mounds because they seem to be doing really well. Well guys, we're taking a little bit of a break. We're actually up there working on the hog pen, extending it. Jennifer did bring my Tums out and some Miracle Grow. I already put the Miracle Grow on the tomatoes like I said I was going to do. But I've got to wait till the Tums actually dissolve, and that generally takes about a day for them to break down really good, so that there's nothing left of the little actual pellet. But hopefully that will kind of liven those tomatoes up. But we've got actually got a lot of comments about the garden growing, and it did take off, and it really did good. Got onions that are almost ready to, some, not all of them, but some are pretty good size. And the cucumbers, we've already been eating on those. They taste really good, don't they? They're not like, you know, sometimes when a cucumber gets pretty big, it kind of gets it's kind of a tart, flat taste. Yeah. But these are actually taste really good. They taste like a bunch of, like the small, that taste really good.
Guess what, y'all? Coming up, we have a surprise. We will be joining you from 3 different locations. Not just 2, but 3 for a live.
Yeah,
so
we did a mock test the other day where I turned the satellite on. Now some days I get a little bit better signal than others. Not sure if it's the weather or just the position of the satellite. But the other night we did a mock test and I turned the satellite on, and I was able to get on a live stream where it actually looked pretty good, didn't it?
It did. It looked really good. So Dad and Patrick were on the live stream, and then all of a sudden I get a text that says, check that email and do the test.
So then she got on and had all 3 of us on there, and I didn't lose the signal any at all. So hopefully we'll be able to do maybe a live stream once a week now, where we maybe do it on Saturday night, be Saturday Night Live.
Maybe some Saturdays.
Yeah. But anyway, the point was that the satellite does work hopefully for a live stream as well as uploading the videos. Now it still takes me about 2.5 hours, depending on the length of the video, to get it loaded up. And you know, the funny thing was I went over to Jennifer's the other day to wash my clothes, and tried to load up the video on the cable, and it wouldn't load, would it?
No, for some reason, my internet, I have 2G and 5G, and it literally sat there, and it loaded 1%, 2%, it had like 3 hours left, and it loaded maybe to what, 40, if that?
Yeah.
No.
I came home, started the satellite, and it was loaded up probably within an hour, going from about 40%, because it was actually still on YouTube at that level, and so it didn't have any problems. So
obviously his internet works very well, you know, for him to, you know, do anything with it, but as far as uploading, you know, that's a different story.
Right. I can actually turn the computer on and actually hit YouTube, and YouTube will pop up within about 2 seconds, and I can stream anything on there. But like I told you before,
he used to could probably go take a shower and come back and it still wouldn't have.
Uploading is a lot different than downloading, because most people don't upload stuff. They download stuff, or they stream looking at the internet and stuff like that. But when it comes to upload, that's a whole different ball game. But anyway, yeah, that's up and running, so hopefully we'll be able to do some live streams. That way she can be at home, and whenever she's got time and I have time and Patrick has time, then we can just dial up each other, get online, and there we go. So that is good news. The satellite tower is working well. Like I told you before, I still have to go back and put cross braces on, but it is freestanding. It's not going to come down in a windstorm, but I still have the cross bracing to put on there. I still have to attach the ladder permanently, but I've got some other pressing things, which was the chicken house and the hog pen, and some other things that had to be done much sooner than finishing that tower. But it is worth the effort, the time, the money, and the effort that we put into it, because we are able to use the satellite.
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching him put the satellite, or the, you know, hook the cords. I learned about the drip cord.
Drip loop.
Drip loop.
What's it for?
So when the water and condensation runs down, it won't run into the stuff. It does like this, and it goes down on the ground. Let me do it again. Down on the ground.
Well, no, it'll just run, hit that, and drop.
Yeah.
It won't make the circle.
Well, you know, whatever. In my mind, it's I call it the drip loop. What is it?
And you know, I've got just enough cord. Now, I left a little bit up top in case I needed to pick the satellite up and move it or do anything. So there's probably 3 foot of slack. And by the time that I came down, hit the house, come down the wall, and I'm going to go through underneath and come back up, I probably only got about 3 foot of slack left. So I got just enough cord, and I'm also going to move that cell antenna over there as well. The only thing is I've got to get up there and dismantle all of it, and it's been so hot, I thought, well, it is up, it is running. I'm just going to leave it there until things cool off a little bit, where I can dismantle it, because I actually attached it to the house. You remember that. So now that I got the tower up there, I'll actually take it off, mount that up on the tower as well. That way I don't have anything attached sticking up on the house other than the flue for the wood stove, because I just think when you do stuff like that, it looks tacky. So
well, I will tell you, if you're like me, when you drive up the driveway, you're looking, and it looks like this tower is a picnic table sitting up on Dad's roof. Literally. It just looks like it's just been set up there nicely. What do you call a good factory?
a satisfactory.
That was from one of our callers.
A factory that makes good products.
Oh, that's what it was. A factory that makes good products.
Is a satisfactory.
Yes.
That came from Florida, from one of our subscribers.
Yep, Debbie in Florida.
Yeah. Yay, Debbie. What was the other one that she said?
Oh. What do cows most like to read? What do they like to read, Landon? Catalogs. I told Dad that one earlier, and he actually busted out laughing.
Yeah,
so I think I done a pretty good thing.
Yeah, cows like to read cattle logs.
Yes, funny.
That's also from Florida.
Yep.
You know, we get comments a whole lot about snakes. That's one thing that we don't ever worry about because we don't really have any problem with them around here. I've grown up here since the 70s. We moved here in 1969. The house was built in 1970. I'm talking about my grandfather's house. And the only thing that I have ever seen growing up here is a black snake. Haven't seen any copperheads, haven't seen any rattlesnakes, haven't seen any cottonmouths. But I know that they are around. There's other parts of East Tennessee that are pretty close to here. But as far as I can remember, none of us have ever seen a rattlesnake, a copperhead, because the comment was made about the woodpile. Weren't we concerned about snakes being in it? Not at all.
Listen.
And if you remember a couple videos ago where we had the black snake crawling through.
He's our friend.
Yeah, that's the reason we don't ever kill the black snakes, because they'll take care of small rodents and also they'll keep other snakes at bay. And that may be the reason we've never seen any, because we have quite a few black snakes around here.
I think he's the same one that's been here for several years. 2 years
Down
ago,
in the
maybe.
woodpile.
Yeah, like literally every time that I walk up this hill, I always look in the woodpile to see if my friend's there. I haven't, seen him this year, well, besides the one time, but I think he's the guy that has taken up home here. But no, we don't worry about that because he's our friend and he's 6 foot long and bulletproof.
Yeah.
Well, for our bullets anyway.
But yeah, I mean, we don't, like I said, we don't ever worry about snakes, so that's not something that we're concerned with. I did get a load of white oak firewood. The fella that brought me some last year, winter, he's going to start bringing some out maybe once a month between now and fall, and I'll get that wood shed. Now I do intend on building a new one, but so far we haven't been able to get started on our new multi-purpose building because of everything else that jumps in its way. That's the thing about living on a homestead. Your priorities, you can plan today what you're going to do tomorrow, and then you wake up tomorrow and something else steps right in front of what you had planned. So, at first it was the gardens, getting those finished because we were so late trying to get them put together. And we got those finished, and the next thing it was the satellite, and then the next thing it was the chicks that were being incubated to come out here, and now it's the hog pen. Of course, I had in mind, extending that later on. Another thing too is we get a lot of comments after I get something going, and they'll be like, well, hey, you're not finished with that, or you're not, because when I built the hog pen, I had to build it, get it done enough to where I could go get the pig, because if I didn't get that pig, they were going to get rid of it. So it wasn't something that I could just take my time on and actually, spend a couple more weeks building that, because I told them, I said, if you'll hang on to it, then within a week, that was getting where I was getting close to getting that done. I said, I'll come get it. So, because they actually had to feed it. But I knew that at some point I would extend the pig pen. The same way as the chickens. The chicken pen was okay the way that I had it, but when we start adding more, I just felt that it was time, to go ahead and build onto it a little bit. So sometimes you do things the way that you have to do them in order to accomplish what you're setting out to do, and then you can always go back and finish it later. So it's like the tower. I'll go back and finish it later, but I had to have it up to be able to stand on its own, where we could put the satellite up there, because we were paying for it and we couldn't even use it. And it's not a whole lot. It's $110 a month is what that satellite costs, but it's $110. It just went to waste for 2 months. So it cost $220 basically
to not be used.
It was just sitting there. So that's the reason that the tower was built the way it was, so that it would stand on its own enough to where we could get the satellite up there and get it working and operational. Then we could always go back and finish it. Something else that I'm going to be starting on real soon, probably within the next week, is starting to rock the house and finish that around, because the black paper that I have down there on the bottom, when it gets really hot outside, it wants to pull away, so it kind of shrinks and draws. So I need to get that tacked up with that wire mesh, and I need to start mixing up concrete and get on with that rocking business. That way I can seal up that whole bottom and I don't have to worry about the actual posts that are still exposed to the outside. I need to get all of that covered up where it's out of the weather. Then once I do that, I can actually start putting in the French drain around the cabin and then start doing some landscaping. That's the only reason I haven't done any landscaping, because I didn't finish the rock in order to do the French drain.
You know, it seems like yesterday you and I were in those frog tog rain suits, and we were working on the underneath of the house, and it was coming a plumb gully washer. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Honey, we were soaked under the frog togs. It didn't matter what we had on. We were soaked.
And I think I'm going to wait until fall, because believe it or not, I still haven't went around and caulked all the windows, caulked up underneath the eave and stuff like that. But you know, there are so many wasps now and things of that nature, bugs, that I'm just going to kind of wait till the weather gets cooler before winter gets here and sets in, and I'll go around and I'll caulk everything, and that will seal it up so that I can conserve any heat loss that may have occurred over this last winter in there. But,
although it did stay pretty toasty, didn't have what
seemed
to be any type of problem. I do have to say this. You'll probably see me touching my arm and scratching and looking at it. How many of you all have used Arid XL in the yellow can? It's spray deodorant, and put it on your arms or legs before you've went outside to try to keep the poison ivy from touching your body. It actually repairs that, I can't say the word, the oil that the poison ivy gives off.
repairs it or repels it?
Did I say repel?
You said repairs.
Oh, repels it. Repels it. So if that gets on you, it doesn't bother you. So I'm sitting here looking at all my white little flaky arms, but then I try to tell myself, Jennifer, be thankful. Honey, they don't even sweat and get wet.
They say that it works. We don't know for sure. We're actually trying it, but she did spray herself, so if she does get into poison ivy, and she missed a spot, she'll know it.
Yep. I sprayed myself yesterday and done pretty well, and my arms didn't sweat, which was odd. You know, because normally water just pours when you're out here and you're hot. And so then I did it again today. But anyway, pretty neat. Hope it works. And if it does, you seen it here first on the Outpost. Hey, what's a frog's favorite drink on a hot summer day?
You're going to say something like Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, y'all. Coca-Cola.
Well, guys, my neighbor came up earlier today, and he was asking me about this chisel. He was actually watching one of the videos, and he said he really liked that chisel that I had, which this is the only one. Now, before, I used this one all the time. This is the one that I made, but the handle shrunk a little bit, and these little brass knurls, they got loose, and I didn't want to pinch my fingers on those, so I stopped using it and then went to this. But he told me, he said, well, if you'll bring all those tools up there, we'll fix them and we'll sharpen them. So I've got these two chisels right here. These are 1-inch chisels. We're going to take those up there and sharpen them, and I'll end up taking my cameras up there and let you watch him as he sharpens them. Now this one right here, I probably used it for over a year without sharpening it, and it's still got a really good edge on it. I try not to let my blades touch the ground if possible, but anyway, these are two that we're going to sharpen. I've got this other draw knife that this is the one that I use primarily all the time. This one right here is the one that I picked up at the antique store, and it does work, but it needs to be sharpened. So we've got these two draw knives that we're going to take up there. These two timber frame chisels, basically the same thing. This piece right here, the dogwood actually shrunk a little bit, so we might be able to heat this up and actually put that back on there. But this right here, this is still sharp, and this is what I used for the timber frame, digging out all the mortises right here. So this is a 1.5 inches, and then I've got a 1 inch right here, oops, which is a corner chisel, and basically the same thing happened to it. I'll pick that up in a second. But this is actually a corner chisel, and it is a 1 inch square. So we'll be taking that up there to sharpen that. Then the froe needs to be sharpened a little bit. We'll take that up there. This slick is still really, I mean really sharp, but we're going to take it up there and do the same thing with it. And see right here, this actually come loose, so we might be able to heat that up and tighten that back up there. But and then I thought I would take my machete up there to kind of sharpen it up a little bit. But these are the hand tools that I use quite often, and so we need to, you know, the thing about the tools are, if they're really sharp, then they do the job really easy. If they get dull and you have to force them, that's not only does it make the job hard, but that's when you stand a chance on getting hurt. So we don't want tools that we have to force, that's for sure. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video here. I've got to get prepared to not only edit this video and get it put out, but I'm going to be heading up to Out of the Woods tomorrow. That channel that I mentioned, Nathan, up in northeast Tennessee. We're going to go by and visit with him, so y'all be looking forward to seeing that on the video as well. Guys, we sure thank you for stopping by here and hanging out with us. We hope that each and every one of you have a fantastic day. You all take care, and look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.